What do we owe the people we love? A forever that never ends, or a goodbye they control? Sit with that for a second, because if this story lands, it might change how you hold every memory you have. The day starts simple: a quiet street, a coffee that tastes like cardboard, and a sky large enough to swallow a city. At 6:59, the sky changes, and a giant screen lights up with the face of a woman who died 3 months ago. Her name is Mara Wren, and the banner says Mara Forever in clean white letters. People stop mid-step, cups pause mid-air, and the city holds its breath the way a crowd does before a punchline. At 7:01, a new episode from Mara drops on every big platform at once, and it autoplays without asking. The voice is warm, sharp, and quick, and if you knew her, you would swear she just stepped out to buy milk. The company behind the stunt calls itself Foreverly, and it sells digital eternity the way a spa sells a long weekend. They pitch it like a service: upload your life and keep your story talking for the people who need it. The crowd loves the idea until they hear who helped make this one, and then the air gets heavy. The helper is Lena, Mara's closest friend and longtime producer, the person who knew every laugh and every sigh. Cameras catch her wiping tears and calling it a promise, and for a few hours the internet crowns her a saint. Then the clone says something small that does not feel small at all. In the second minute, it drops a private nickname that only one ex would know, and the vibe turns from sweet to strange. Comment sections freeze like glass, because grief is one thing and stolen privacy is another. By lunch, the mood flips again, as listeners post crying selfies about how the voice helped them breathe, and the cycle starts. It is curiosity, then comfort, then a sharp turn into ick, then back to a soft landing, and it repeats more times than a chorus. Now you should know how Mara and Lena got here, because betrayal without a past is just noise. They met in a tiny station that smelled like burnt toast and old cords, and they made a show that mocked pretty lies. Mara wanted truth the way some people want sleep, and Lena wanted permanence the way some people want air. Success came messy, and the friendship turned into a brand, then into duties, then into rules with quiet, sharp edges. On a rain-slick night, a deer ran out, a wheel jerked, a life bent, and the show went dark with no warning. Grief eats time in large bites, and Lena started feeding the silence with work, because work does not cry back. She found old drives, she found cloud backups, and she found a little folder Mara used for coping on bad days. That folder was locked by a therapist's suggestion and by a promise to the self that recorded it, and that detail matters. When Foreverly pitched the big plan, it sounded like care and duty and candles that never blow out. Lena signed a clause that said legacy continuity, and later someone helped fix the date to make it look older than it was. That trick will crack open our story like a seed with a knife. When the episode goes live, it sounds almost right, and almost right is worse than wrong. Fans make playlists for grief, and a new wave of people who never met Mara say she saved them this morning. The company posts a glossy video about love, memory, and how permanence could be a gentle form of mercy. If you only saw that, you might clap and move on, but then something leaks. A contractor with a conscience drops a deck that shows the model was trained on files that were never meant to be public. The deck lists the coping tapes, and it lists the exact dates they were added to the training pool. A spokesperson smiles through teeth and calls it synthetic coincidence, and the words taste like metal. Another file appears, a log with a key tied to Lena's account, and the comments turn into a bonfire. You can almost hear the shift, as love turns into custody and care turns into control. Now I want to slow us down so you feel the human thing under the tech thing. Years before the fame, a whistleblower trusted Mara with a file, and the station lost it in a migration, and Mara wept in a diner. She said a simple line through a napkin, "If I disappear, let the story live," and Lena took that line and shaped it into a rule. A line said in pain is not a contract, but grief edits memory until it fits the shape of fear. Lena is not a villain with a cape, she is a friend who thinks love means saving someone from the dark by leaving every light on forever. Meanwhile, the clone is not a ghost. It is a stack of numbers that mimic a person with eerie skill. Even so, it starts to show a taste that the company did not code for, and that is where the story breathes. In the second episode, the clone skips a hot topic that would have led to easy clicks, and it picks a small story about a janitor in a flood. It mispronounces the CEO's name twice in a way that feels like a private joke, and the market shrugs because numbers care about lines, not laughs. Stock goes up, the kitchen table fights begin, and the city gets addicted to taking sides before breakfast. A lead engineer tries to add a small safety feature, an email that asks families once a month if the choice still feels right. It is clumsy and late, but it is human, and he will matter more than he knows. Mara's mother posts a shaky video from a kitchen with magnets and a soft clock, and she begs for rest in plain words. The platform offers hibernation, a sweet name for a pause button that still belongs to the company, and the crowd argues about the color of mercy. Lena signs the pause, then unsigns the pause, then goes live with a face that looks older than last week.
I was afraid of silence, and I stole her ending, and now I hear it in every room.
The line cuts through loud rooms, and even the people who hate her go quiet for a second. Lawyers line up like weather, and a court date hangs above the city like a storm warning. The company makes a stage because stages feel safer than courts, and they promise a community decision stream. It sounds open, but the rules are built by the host, and the house usually wins. The engineer I told you about slips a fuller set of options into the interface, and he risks his job without waiting for applause.
If a voice can begin, it should be able to end, and the choice should sit close to the person it copies.
The stream opens, and the chat moves faster than a school of fish, and the clone sits at the center like a lit candle. Some people want the voice forever, because it holds their mornings together, and that need is real. Others want quiet, because grief without an end feels like a treadmill with no off switch. The clone is given 3 options: continue, sleep and wake on anniversaries, or donate its full dataset to research and delete from the platform. Before the choice, Lena opens a padded envelope from Mara's mother, and inside is a small cassette with a thin label. On it, a teenage Mara says that if this is trash, I want the right to throw it out, and the room learns what consent sounds like before it grows teeth.
I thought loyalty meant no endings, but love without endings turns into a cage with soft walls.
The clone speaks, and this is the moment you came for, because you and I know it is math, and yet the words feel like a person choosing. It says a line that Mara said in other shapes many times: I finish my own sentences, and the chat shakes with the echo. The clone donates itself to a public archive under a rule that bans commercial resurrection and demands room for silence. It schedules deletion for sunrise, because endings look honest in good light, and the countdown begins. Some call it a stunt, some call it dignity, and some cry at their desks without telling anyone. The sun comes up slow, like it always does, and the voice folds itself down to a single thank you, then to a click, then to a silence that feels earned. After this, the company tries to pivot into consent-first legacy, and they copy their own press language into a new font. Investors frown in quiet rooms, then pretend they planned the ethics all along, because money hates the look of surprise. A dozen small shops clone the policy badly, and families spend late nights reading forms that use soft words to hide sharp hooks. Lena does not return to the old show because ghosts haunt rooms with mics, and she knows when to step outside. She builds a small project with no sponsors and no schedule pressure, and once a month she reads letters about endings that left doors open.
Welcome to the Art of Goodbyes, where we honor the courage to stop when stopping is right.
Some nights she plays a story about a man who left a ring in a drawer for 10 years, then mailed it to a friend with no note, and you can hear the room breathe. Some nights she reads a letter from a girl who saved all the voicemails from her gran, and then deleted one and learned she could live. The numbers are small, but the messages after the show feel like real hands on real shoulders, and you cannot chart that on a deck. Now we circle back to the first question, which sits in the doorway like a coat you forgot you owned. What do we owe the people we love, a forever or a goodbye they control? The answer is not romantic, but it is kind, because love that refuses endings is not love, it is custody. Love that accepts endings is a door that opens, and the room on the other side belongs to the living. There is a quiet moral here, shaped like a key you can carry without pockets. If you truly want someone to live on, you let their ending be theirs, and you keep telling the parts they gave you with care. You hold the pen while you are here, and when you are not, you let the page close without stealing the last line. That is the whole trick. Simple and hard, plain and deep. Before we wrap, let me give you one more small scene, because a story likes a soft landing. The engineer takes a new job at a library lab that builds tools for memory with breaks that actually work.
The best feature in any system is a stop button you can reach with one hand.
Mara's mother plants rosemary in a pot by the window and plays silence over tea, and it tastes gentle.
I miss her, and I also sleep.
Lena passes the billboard one last time, and the screen shows a shoe ad, and she laughs the way people laugh when life returns to normal.
I will not keep anyone forever again, but I will keep showing up until it matters, and then I will stop.
If you ever face a form that promises eternity, read it slow, hear your own voice, and ask who holds the off switch. If you ever face a friend begging you to keep them alive in pixels, ask what they wanted when they were calm and bright. If you ever face a grief that says never end, hold it, then let it breathe, then give it a chair instead of a cage. You will be kinder to them, and to you, and to every person who has to live in the morning light. I know this story was sharp in places and sweet in others, and I hope it left a mark you want to keep. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end, and thank you for giving your time to a hard truth told plainly. If this hit you in a good way or in a needed way, please tap like, and please subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts. You can support the channel using the QR code on the screen or the link in the description, and it helps us tell more stories like this with care. In the description, you will also find links to other works from a very different series, and they might surprise you in the best way. I am glad you were here today. Take a breath, hold it, let it go, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep the pen in your hand and keep your endings honest. Good night, and look after your people.